Hello, welcome to ClassDojo Beyond the Basics. I'm Lauren, and I'm a ClassDojo ambassador, my school's mentor, and a third grade teacher in Tinley Park, Illinois. I've been using ClassDojo for 11 of my 12 years teaching, and the only reason I didn't use it my first year was because I didn't know it existed, but I honestly can't imagine my life without it. Whether you've been using ClassDojo for 1 year or 10 years, I found from my own experience that every year is also an opportunity to change and improve the way that I engage with students and families using Dojo. Plus, ClassDojo is constantly growing to fit the needs of teachers by taking our suggestions and bringing them to life. I've also learned a lot of really great ideas from other teachers who use ClassDojo. With that being said, let's get started. So what to expect? We are spending the next 30 minutes together, but we know that every minute of your time is valuable, so we're going to jump right in. Today, you'll be able to take 8 tips back with you that you can start using right away. My hope is that there's something that sparks inspiration for every one of you. Let's get started. Tip number 1, establishing norms. Establishing norms is important to you and the parents. That way, everything is clear from day one. The key is to communicate these norms right at the start of the year. And you can communicate them in a class story post, in a message to parents, and also in person at our back to school nights. So here are a couple of examples of norms. First, explain your availability in responding to messages and that you're using quiet hours. So maybe saying I'm available and messaging typically on school days during 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. But beyond that, I set quiet hours to recharge for the next day. So that's important because parents know that they can contact you, but that you have quiet hours set. That way they don't feel like they're being ignored. Another idea is that let them know, hey, based on class story comments, I'm going to do my best to respond to questions, but often I can't respond until after the school day. Another idea is if parents have constructive feedback, something that they wish were different or something that makes them concerned, ask them to send it in a private message. Finally, and most importantly, is to reiterate that you're on a team and that all communication should reflect that. So you can say to the parents, I want this to be the best year yet for your kids. And to achieve that, I want to feel like we're on a team, that we're on the same page, that we're working together to support your student. So expect me to share messages and updates throughout the year, but I'm also asking that you do the same. If your student is having a tough morning before school, or if they're loving our science unit, or maybe they were totally stumped on yesterday's math homework, share it with me because it helps me be a better teacher for your kid. So those are great norms that you can establish right at the beginning of the school year. Tip number 2, make messages meaningful. So we all know that it's best practice to have more positive interactions with parents and students than negative interactions. And sometimes that can be hard to do when you're sending messages home because typically if we're messaging parents, it's because something happened in class that we need to bring to their attention. So we've come up with a few ideas to add more positivity and variety to your messages. So again, do things differently than they might have experienced in the past. One example is maybe take some photos or videos of your classroom before school starts to give them a sneak peek. Also, maybe you can share your goals or your hopes for the school year. And then once the parents are connected, they're going to see these in class story. And that's just a level of personal communication and vulnerability that maybe families aren't as used to. Another example is to ask for feedback early on. Consider asking questions that kind of get families thinking about how they can get more involved in the school year. Such as, how do you want to be involved in my class this year? Or how do you want to be involved this year? What resources might your family benefit from? Also, what are some things that you'd like me to post in class story? What are some photos that you might want to see or videos that you might want to see posted throughout the year? Also say, is there anything that I should know, both big and small, that'll help me help your student more? Another example, which is a silly example, but I think it's kind of fun, is you can schedule messages. So maybe think about asking students to write down their parent or their guardian's birthday. And then you can go into messages and you can schedule a happy birthday message that the parents receive the morning of their birthday. Just something fun and out of the ordinary that they're not used to. Tip number 3, student ownership and choice. So increase student buy-in by getting their input. Just like anything, giving students ownership and choice increases their engagement, their excitement, and honestly, it just makes them care more about it. So include them in creating your rewards and your behaviors. So when you're setting up your class, leave some room so that the students can add their own ideas. And you might be surprised with what they come up with. One example is have a discussion at the beginning of the year about feedback categories and have the group agree on what categories that you want to add to your existing list. You can also talk about changing the icons and how much the points are worth. Another thing you can do is decide on a system for students to redeem their points. What, when, and how often are they going to be redeeming those points? I typically have an idea of the experience that I want to use as a reward, but I also let my students offer suggestions and ideas of things that they want to earn, because after all, these are their rewards. We also look at how many points each reward is worth, and then we have a discussion on if those points are fair. I also set the norm that we only redeem points after I do attendance. My personal goal is to prevent our safety clerk from calling into my class because I forgot to take attendance. So the least amount of distraction for me, the better for all. So we do point redemption right after I do attendance and then right after lunch and recess. I also tell my students that they can pool their points together for larger classroom prizes such as a movie day, eating lunch outside, extra recess, going on a virtual field trip. And I love taking photos of students who have paid for whole class rewards, and then I feature them on our class story so they get that recognition. And the students love seeing it. The parents, especially of those students that use those points for that, they get so proud of their kids. It's awesome. Something else that you can do is you can use points for student goals, whether that's tracking IEP goals that are specific to a student, or if you do goal setting activities in your classroom. Early in the year, we set SMART goals with our students, and we use these goals in our student-led parent-teacher conferences. So tracking progress with ClassDojo has been super helpful in that process. Another example is allow and encourage your students to nominate each other for feedback. So when they see something happening in their classroom that they're really excited about, or that somebody else did that was awesome, let them nominate their classmates for those points. That builds positive relationships in your classroom, and it's really awesome to see the students encouraging each other. Tip number 4, use class story as a mini lesson. So since both parents and students can see class story posts now, you can upload mini lessons that might be helpful for parents and could also be another resource for your students. So you can use class story by uploading these different mini lessons of maybe what you've taught in a certain way that might be a little bit different, and that would be helpful for your parents to understand and to reinforce. And not only is this going to benefit families for relearning the curriculum, but it can help start having conversations at home. You can also use mini lessons in a flipped classroom, maybe for pre-teaching, or as a resource for your students to look back on while they're doing homework, maybe an assignment in class, or review before a test. Mini lessons can be video lessons that you've uploaded. They could be photos of anchor charts that are in your classroom, or even students sharing their own thinking. That will go a long way in your classroom as well. Tip number 5, adjust for your students' age. Make ClassDojo fit your students. So the way ClassDojo looks in one class is going to look different in another. So whether you're in a pre-K classroom or middle school, there's a lot of different ways that you can customize things that best fit your students. One thing that you can consider is how you assign feedback and skills. So for pre-K, consider the way that you assign those skills. Maybe you want to have a neutral skill that are feedback for the parents on whether their child ate, napped, went to the bathroom, etc. But in middle school, you might use a neutral point as a digital hall pass or as a bathroom break. Points are time-stamped, and you can use those reports to look back and see when you gave out those neutral points. Neutral points are nice too because they're not specific for positive points or needs work points. They're just points that you're using to track certain behaviors. Another example is customizing student avatars. So instead of using the pre-made dojo avatars, you can upload student photos, you can upload different cartoon characters. If you have a themed classroom, maybe you're a Harry Potter classroom and you want to upload Harry Potter photos, or students can also create their own Bitmojis and you can upload those as well. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that step by step. First, before you get started, any photos that you want to use or any pictures that you want to use, save them to your computer in a folder so it's nice and easy to find, because you're going to use that in order to upload them into Dojo. So let's take a look at our ClassDojo page. On my page, I am going to click on Options, Edit Class, and then I'm going to click on my student. So I click on, it doesn't matter which student you start with. So I'm going to click on my student. I'm going to click their avatar. And here you can choose the different ClassDojo avatars, and ClassDojo also pre-made a lot of different options for you too. So they have critters, which look totally different than the ClassDojo monsters that you're used to seeing, but they're fun and silly. They also have, I like the Halloween ones. I've done that where I've changed it to the Halloween characters. And they have different pre-made ones that have little costumes on, which are super fun. But if you want to upload your own custom ones, you click on that drop down at the bottom. It says create a new set. So you click that. You are going to name your set. So I'm going to use superheroes. And I'm going to click create monster set. Here I'm going to upload my monster. So I'm going to click upload monster. The browse box is going to pop up. And then it's going to open up to my files. So I can choose whatever file folder I have all my files in, and you can choose up to 10 at a time. So I have 11 of them here. So I'm going to choose all 10. And then maybe if I wanted to add more, I can add the other ones afterwards. But I would click open. And then here are my files. And I would click upload 10 files. If I wanted to upload more, remember I had that one that I did not upload yet. I click upload monster again. I go back to my browser and I click on that last one I didn't get a chance to upload. This guy's uploaded in there. And then here are my sets. If I'm like, oh, I don't really like that one, I can always exit out and then get rid of that one too. And that being said, if you were to upload in your groups of 10 and you have duplicates, you can always X them out. Then you click save set, and all your superheroes are now here in your dropdown. So you can add multiple sets of other ones that you want to do as well. Then you just go in and you choose your character, click done and save. And then you'll have to go through each student, change their picture, but they're super quick, and then change it to the avatar that you would like. And then click save. And then just go through until you are done with all of your students. So that's super fun. I love doing this in my classroom just to kind of shake things up a little bit. And the kids really like being able to choose their avatars as well. Then you just click the X and then you're all set and you're changing your avatars. All right. Tip number 6, reports and parent-teacher conferences. So earlier I had mentioned how you can use reports to look back and see when a student has earned a point. And you can also use these reports to help guide your parent-teacher conferences. So we're going to go through this in a moment, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of information first. So use these reports to get the conversation started. In reports, you can use the filter and find a specific date or a specific range of dates that you want to look at. I recommend highlighting some of the positive skills that a student has received most often in your class. And you can also talk about how you can share how the student's goals are progressing if you're using it for tracking. You can also ask the parents, what behaviors and goals do you have for your student? And maybe you can add some of those feedback skills in there as well. So let's take a look at getting into our reports. So I'm going to continue to use my demo class to do that. So in there, you're going to click on options, view reports. And this is where you can see everybody listed on the left, and you can change how you're viewing it by first name, last name, percent positive, most points. And then if I was having a conversation with Taylor Hansen's mom, I might click on his name and then pop up his points here. And I can decide to choose what date I'm looking at. Maybe I'm looking specifically at today. Oh, he didn't have any points today. Or maybe with the points that he earned yesterday. I can also change it to this week, last week, and I can do a custom date range. So let's say Taylor's been in my summer school class. So I want to look at the beginning of summer school through today. So if you saw, I started with, I started with the first date, and then I clicked all the way through to the end. I click select dates, and this is his report. So then I might want to talk to mom about, hey, you know, Taylor got 3 points for working hard. I'm super proud of him. These are the things that he's doing in class. You can also scroll down and you can see exactly when the student got the points. Now, if you add points, there's an option to add a note. Any of those notes that you add are going to pop up in here as well. And as you can see, when I was talking about the timestamp, this tells me what date my student received those points. And if you happen to go into reports the day of you giving those feedback points, it'll tell you what time you gave those points as well. So you can also print these for parents if that's helpful as well. So that's how you get into reports. I'm also going to show you a report that has a little bit more information of my actual students. So this is a full report that I would pull up for my parents. I would talk about all the hard work that the student was doing and focus on the skill that she received the most points for. And again, like I said, you can print these off for parents to take home. They can also see their students' report as well. But this is just kind of nice to build those conversations and give you a talking point during those parent-teacher conferences. Tip number 7, save time and tabs with Toolkit. So some of the things I do most often in my classroom are I post directions for students, I call on students, I put students in groups in order to work together. And also I love putting on music in the background. Instead of having different tabs open to do all these things, I can use Toolkit. So Toolkit has 8 tools to make your life easier. It's located on the website at the bottom of your classroom page. We're going to take a look at that in a moment. And it's also located on your phone or your iPad or any device that you have. When you're in your classroom and you click on, at the very top, you have different options that you can slide through. So when you slide through and you click on more, you'll click on tools and your toolkit will pop up. Something that I love about Toolkit is I don't need to be at my computer each time I want to access a tool. So let's say I'm at the back table with a small group and I want to change my directions or I want to change my timer. I don't need to get up and go to the front of the classroom where my computer is to do that. I can pull up the app and I can change my timer on my app and it'll automatically cast to my computer. So that's super cool, very convenient. That way I can continue with what I'm doing. I don't have any wasted time and Toolkit is doing what I need it to do. We're going to take a look at a couple of different, we're going to look at all 8 of the tools. I'm going to go into more detail on some of my favorite tools. So again, in my class, at the very bottom, I see Toolkit. So I can click on that. We have timer, we have random, we have group maker, we have noise meter, we have directions, think, pair, share, today, and music. So some of the ones that I like the best is group maker. I no longer need to use popsicle sticks. Group maker is there for me. I also no longer get in trouble from the students who are like, why would you put me with so-and-so? And it gives students that opportunity to not be put on the spot if it's choose who you want to work with. And that can cause some kind of issues in your classroom as well. If you have friends that want to work together or they're, they don't want to exclude somebody. So group maker takes care of all of that. So I can choose how many students are in each group. And then I also love this part right here, this don't group together. Sometimes you have some students that maybe need to take a break from each other or they don't work so well together. So you can choose which students you don't want to work together. And then they'll pop up here. And then as group maker is working, it's never going to put those students in a group together. Let's pretend they have been doing a good job and I'm going to give them an opportunity to work together again. It's not forever. I can click on the X and then they're back in the tool picker, like no big deal. And they can be in groups together again. I'm just going to, just for the sake of showing you, I'm going to put these 2 not in a group together just so you show that they don't pop up. So I'm going to do, I want 2 students per group. And there it is. And then I just project that for my students. They see who's in their group. They get to where they need to go going, and then they can get started. The next Toolkit tool I love is directions. So I use directions every single day. You can start by making your own directions and you can save it for later. And this is really nice so that you have them preset to go into later, or you can start to add your own directions in there and then use them as needed. I use this one a lot, my math responsive time. So what I do is I'll post my directions up here, work on must do problems, and then I leave this blank on pages blank and blank. So then that way I can use this every single day that I need it. And I post it up on my board and I can use my dry erase markers and I put in what problems I need to do on what pages. So I can reuse this over and over again. So I definitely recommend making some pre-made ones that you can always go back to. And this is nice because the directions are up there. Students know exactly what they're expected to do. The other toolkit item that I also really love is think, pair, share. We do a lot with cooperative learning and collaboration. So think, pair, share is nice because Dojo has already created a couple of different things that you can post for your students, or you can create your own. And all you do is click on anyone that you want to use. You could be a candy. What would you be? It posts. You give the students an opportunity to think about it. Then they can pair up and discuss it, and then they can share out as a class. It's just another fun tool that I don't then have to create something somewhere else in order to project on my screen. So that's Toolkit. Again, there are 8 different tools. I highly encourage you to play around with them. The music one is also a ton of fun. Tip number 8, our last tip, use big ideas and conundrums to spark discussion. So ClassDojo's Big Ideas and Conundrums bring SEL SEL lessons to life as students follow their favorite little monster and his friends as they go through a lot of tough situations that all students can relate to. Conundrums give students tricky situations where they have to choose their own correct answer, even though there isn't really a clear correct answer there. The conundrums give students an opportunity to enhance their critical thinking skills and practice having discussions about their opinions while including facts to back up their claims. I love using big ideas. I love the conundrums, and we're going to take a look at those. So there's a ton of things that you can do with big ideas and conundrums. We could have an entire session just on that topic. Right now, there are 63 lessons and counting on the ClassDojo Big Ideas Hub. So in addition to these amazing discussions that you can have in class after watching these videos, you can continue those discussions at home by posting the videos in Class Story so parents can watch them with their students and those conversations can continue. The big ideas pair up very nicely with a lot of different SEL lessons and curriculum. We use Second Step as our SEL program, and we've been able to enrich those lessons by adding in the big ideas videos. You can also use those videos with zones of regulation and PBIS, and it just reinforces those SEL lessons that you're doing in class. Even if you don't have a curriculum, you can use the big ideas videos for that. If you are school-wide, you might want to consider dividing up the lessons by grade just to avoid students from repeating the same lessons each year, but also don't feel that you need to, because students might benefit from watching those videos over and over again, and they're going to pull a different, deeper meaning each time they watch them. Like I said, I've been using Dojo forever, and although the Big Ideas videos are still fairly new over the last couple of years, each year I've used it, I've been able to pull a different message and a different learning tool out of it as I'm using them with my students. So just because you're school-wide doesn't mean you have to only do certain lessons per grade level. But if you want to, that's something that you can have that conversation about. So let's take a look at big ideas and the conundrums. In our ClassDojo page, in our classroom page, down here, we see big ideas. So we're going to click on big ideas, and this is where you're going to find the growth mindset videos, all those SEL videos that I was just talking about. Each video comes with like a little 5-minute video plus discussion topics and an opportunity for you to share it with your class on Class Story. Let's talk about conundrums. Conundrums are super fun. I love conundrums. My students love conundrums. It really sparks amazing discussions in my classroom. So we're going to take a look at one conundrum just to kind of give you a feel for it. So this is the Blue Comet conundrum. Each conundrum has a video. It has a discussion page, gives you the option to share it on Class Story so that, again, your parents can watch it, your students can rewatch it, or let's say you do this all in class and maybe you have a homebound student or you have a student that missed class that day, you can still share it in Class Story so they can watch the video as well. And there's also an activity that you can post to portfolios if you'd like. So let's start our activity. The Blue Comet conundrum.
Conundrums, created by Astronova School.
Number 1. The Blue Comet Conundrum. Okay, I've got a question for you. Imagine this. A bright blue comet shoots through the sky on Thursday night for the whole world to see. 3 people think that they should get to name it. So, whose side are you on? Option A. The scientists. On Monday, a scientist made a prediction on TV that a colorful comet will appear in the night sky very soon. Option B. The student.
I'm going to stop it there. And I just wanted to show you that they present a question or a conundrum, and they give you 3 different options to choose from, along with facts about each one of those options. So after you're done watching the video, you click the next arrow, and here's your discussion. Who do you think gets to name the blue comet? So again, each conundrum has a question. There's 3 to 4 different possibilities and good reasons for each one of those possibilities. So the discussion question is, who solves the problem, or what problem is being solved, and who do you pick? You can choose to discuss this as a whole class. You can choose to have the students think about it, talk about it with their partners, and then share out. Or you can have them work on it independently and then share out. When you're done with this discussion piece, click next. And this is where you can share it on Class Story. So again, this is super awesome. They already have the wording done for you. You don't have to do anything. You just click share on class story, and then parents or students can click on that link to view the video. Next, we have that awesome activity. So when I go to activity, I can share the class activity on portfolios. So I'm going to choose my class. I'm going to do the demo class. And then it's going to populate in your classroom, in your activities. There we go. Here are our activities. The blue comic conundrum comes with the video, it comes with instructions in the worksheet. I'm going to click use activity. So it already makes it for you. The title's already in there, the instructions are in there, the recording of the video, and the response worksheets all there. It's all done for you. You don't have to worry about it. You can also choose to assign this to your whole class or a specific student. So let's pretend you did this entire discussion in class and you weren't planning on putting it on in your portfolios, but there were a few students that were absent, or you had that homebound student or anything like that. You can choose just to assign it to them so they're still part of it as well. And then maybe you choose to read their activities the next day to the classroom. So again, you're all part of the same community. I'm gonna click OK because I want everybody to do it. And then I assign it to class. So we're gonna take a quick peek at that worksheet that I had just mentioned. Right here is the worksheet. And again, you can print it off or you can just do it digitally and the students can do it when they log in. So it gives the different options and then the question. So who do you think gets to name the blue comet? So with this, the students have to write in the facts about each one of these options and then taking that and turning it into who they think gets to name the blue comet. So a couple of the things that I've done is maybe if you chose the scientist, go to this side of the classroom. If you chose the student, for this one, a lot of my kids choose the student, and I'm pretty sure it's just because they're students and they want to name a comet, but I don't really know. But I'll say, you want to choose a student, go in this section of the classroom. And then if you chose the astronaut, go over here, and I'll let them discuss it together and then come together as a group and say, you know, why did you choose this person? So it's really fun to get the students to talk to each other about things that they do agree with. And then even some students might be very adamant that no, absolutely not. The astronaut needs to be the one to name the comet because of X, Y, and Z. But then they learn how to have those conversations together in a respectful kind of way. All righty. Well, that's it. We went over a lot. Don't worry if your head is spinning with new ideas and things to explore. We have all the resources that you need at whatever stage that you're at. So as ClassDojo continues to evolve, I'm sure that there's going to be even more amazing things to come. Make sure you check out our ClassDojo Teachers Facebook group because there's a ton of ideas and tips there, especially with back to school stuff getting ready. I hope you found these 8 tips helpful. If you have any questions, you can reach out to your ClassDojo mentor. You can drop us an email at hello@classdojo.com or check out our help desk for any helpful articles for questions that you might have are there as well. Also, if you have any tips that you think teachers should know about, please email us at dojoschools@classdojo.com because we would love to add those tips and tricks into this presentation. Thank you again so much for being here. We hope you have an absolutely amazing back to school and have a ton of fun using ClassDojo. Have a great one.